In the meantime, Democrats haven't given up on the idea of getting something done on which they can find broad-based agreement. They think voting rights is a step in that direction. Let's go to Richard Fowler on this, Fox News contributor, American radio show host, Forbes contributor, writer, also Gianno Caldwell, the Fox News political analyst, Out Loud with Gianno Caldwell, podcast host. Both very smart guys. Guys, thank you for joining me. Richard, I began with you. Maybe you can help me make sense of this new attack line that will have maybe more interest on the part of more, certainly Democrats, and that is voting rights. Where does that stand?
Well, thanks for having me, Neil. And I think you're right. Here's the problem that the White House currently has today. It's not a problem with wooing over independents, or it's not a problem with, trying to convince conservatives that Joe Biden is the right president for them. What Joe Biden currently faces is a problem with his own base. What can he do to shore up his base as we are currently in a midterm year? Understanding that the headwinds that he's facing are almost insurmountable. You have the spread of Omicron. Every state's almost in red. You have a near collapse of our hospital system because more and more healthcare workers are getting sick. And you're also dealing with the impacts of inflation. What gives me some excitement about inflation is, the price that I'm tracking is bacon. Bacon is the one thing that I always track to see how inflation is doing. And we've seen the price of bacon go down over the past couple months. We'll have to see what this data points to us. But that is something that it impacts the restaurant industry. It impacts every home, no matter your economic status. So we're going to have to see how Joe Biden plays this. But my money is, you watch the price of bacon and you can tell how the economy is doing.
All right. There's a lot of other items there that are still running up smartly, but we'll see how that goes. But, Gianno, I'm glad right now that we have an environment where you can maybe pick and choose things that had been soaring, not soaring as much. I hope that continues. But the fact of the matter is this push and the voting rights stuff, it seems to be a bit of, political bad tuning, right? I mean, there are far greater worries for the voting public right now than whether something like this gets done or passed, and everything must be addressed on what's happening on the inflation front. What do you think?
Well, first and foremost, I'm so thankful to be with my friends. I feel like we're at Fox and Friends at Fox Business. And happy birthday to Richard Fowler. And I realize I'm going to get him bacon for his birthday.
Happy birthday, Richard.
Congrats, Richard.
Yeah. Thank you, Neil.
But
even the price of bacon came down to celebrate the day. That's not too bad.
Right. Exactly. Couldn't have asked for better.
Exactly right. They couldn't have. And, I'm going to say this. It's actually the first time I think I'm actually going to say this. I completely agree with Richard's analysis on this point in terms of what it looks like for Joe Biden at this particular time. If you look at the Rasmussen poll, the most recent one, he got a 59% disapproval. And interestingly enough, I find this point particularly interesting. We know how Donald Trump, he was the worst polling president in history. So we understand that. But he's only polling 3 points above where Donald Trump was polling at this same point in his presidency. He does have issues that he can't really win. You can't really win on COVID, and that's really a part of his issue because he created it in the sense of saying, hey, I got a plan for COVID. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring jobs back to the economy. None of those things have materialized, and now we're beginning to see a media who totally favored him and gave him very positive press coverage, whether it be through the election or through his first year in office, is now really beginning to be honest about the performance of this president. And this is really going to send, I think, shockwaves through the Democratic Party as it already has, but it's going to really continue in this year, especially if we see hyperinflation take off.
Do you think, Richard, this president has a Jimmy Carter feel to him?
I wouldn't go that far yet. I think we still have to wait to see how the midterm elections play out for him. But with that being said, what Joe Biden has to do now, more so than everything else, is he has to begin, what you can never knock Donald Trump for is this. Donald Trump understood he had to always communicate with his base. This is where Joe Biden seems to be having some issues. If you look at all of the past elections, the loyalist voter in the Democratic Party is African-American women. At the top of their list of issues from a recent poll from our friends over at Hit Strategies, we found this. We found, number one, they care about voting rights. Number two, they care about the economy. And number three, they care about how you're going to get COVID under control. So the president has to be hitting on all three of those marks if he plans to have not as bad of a bloodbath as we approach this midterm election. But it's all surrounded around, can he convince his base to get behind him one more time and vote for candidates that he supports in elections down ballot?
Gianno, I wonder about that. I just think he's kind of bumming the base out. They're just not that into him. They don't think he's that into the job. And that might not be fair, and it might be a rap against his age, and who am I to judge old people? But I'm just saying that, is it too late for that for him?
Well, I mean, I would argue that his base never was really and truly into him. They were more into the fact that they wanted Donald Trump gone, and he was the vehicle to do that. Now, what we see is when you give an individual, a candidate, a participation trophy, because we know that he campaigned largely out of his basement and limited events. This is the result. This is the participation trophy president, in my humble opinion. I think when it comes to the voting rights issue, yeah, Richard is accurately stating that this is something that black women especially care about, but that's not the real issue, I think, at hand. This is an issue that they think they can at least get some good press coverage out of it and say, hey, Republicans are racist. They don't want to pass voting rights. Therefore, you should continue to vote for Democrats in the midterm. I think that's something that a lot of African Americans have soured on because they played that card far too many times, and we don't really see the evidence of what they've been suggesting. So unless the economy really dials up, he's going to have a problem, whether it be today, tomorrow, or in the midterms.
Yeah, it always comes back to the economy, guys, doesn't it? John, I want to thank you.
It's Richard, the economy stupid, right?
It is, right? And Richard, have a great birthday. Enjoy it. We were the celebrants today, so have a good one. All right, Richard and Gianno on these developments.